I pushed open the front door after my usual evening walk. The kind meant to clear my head rather than burn calories. And the words hit me before I could even kick off my shoes. Mom was on the couch, tablet in hand, not bothering to look up. "We're clearing out your office this weekend," she said, voice flat like she was reading a grocery list. "For Marcus. He needs the space to focus. It's just temporary." "Elena." My hand froze on the doorknob. The hallway felt narrower, the air thicker. Marcus, my brother-in-law, stepped out from the kitchen holding a measuring tape, already acting like the room was his. He gave me that easy smile, the one that always seemed to disarm people. "I didn't think they'd actually go through with it yet," he said, eyes already scanning the bookshelves like they were inventory. "But yeah, blockchain needs solid bandwidth and a quiet setup. I'd been working in that office for 3 years. Built the desk myself during a long weekend, installed the ergonomic chair, wired the network myself when the house's Wi-Fi kept dropping. 3 years of late nights coding security audits for small nonprofits. 3 years of steady contracts that paid the bills everyone else ignored." My voice came out smaller than I wanted. "I've been using that space every day." Mom nodded from the couch. "He's got investor calls. Presentations. You can move your things, they're portable, right?" She said it kindly, like she was doing me a favor. I stood there blinking, trying to process it the way I debugged code, line by line, looking for the error. There was none. The decision was already made. So I nodded. Okay. Yelling wasn't an option. Not in this house. I was raised to keep the peace, to absorb the quiet slights, to be the reliable one who never made waves. That night, I lay awake replaying old moments that suddenly felt heavier. College graduation with honors. Mom's response was, "That's what we expected." Marcus's first startup crashed in 6 months. They threw a backyard barbecue to toast his bold vision. The Tahoe trip I was left out of because you don't like snow, even though I did. Family photos where I stood half in shadow. The holiday updates that listed everyone's wins except mine. When Marcus married my sister Sophia, the family orbit shifted. He became the son they never had, the visionary. I became the quiet satellite, expected to adjust without complaint. The next morning, he was already hauling monitors upstairs. I watched from the doorway as he slid my files aside like clutter. Mom stepped over my neatly labeled folders. "He's so visionary," she said, smiling. "Setting up a multi-wallet system already." Marcus taped a Bitcoin poster over the whiteboard where I used to run weekend cybersecurity workshops for local students. My nameplate, Elena Harper, MS Cybersecurity, was tossed into a drawer. I gathered a few things: my planner, a framed certification, a mug from a student who said I helped launch her career. I carried them out without a word. That evening at family dinner, store-bought lasagna again, I tried to mention the small nonprofit contract I'd just landed to secure their donor database. Before I finished, Mom raised her glass. "To Marcus's big pitch next week. This blockchain platform could be huge." Everyone cheered. No one looked at me. Marcus laughed. "Elena's always been great at staying under the radar." It wasn't cruel. It was casual. That's what made it burn. Later in bed, heart tapping steadily, I realized it wasn't just the office. It was the assumption I'd step aside again, that I'd keep orbiting quietly because I always had. By Saturday, the move was done. I carried the last box into the garage myself. The space smelled of old paint and damp concrete. The overhead bulb flickered, casting a sickly yellow glow. Mom had called it making it cozy. It wasn't. Cold floor, spiderwebs in corners, outlets that sparked if you looked at them wrong. I set my laptop on a folding table that wobbled, propped one leg with a folded manual page. No one checked on me. Upstairs I heard laughter. Hammers. Marcus talking scalability like he was changing the world. My old bookshelf, the one Dad helped install, was being repainted white for his innovation studio. Not a trace of me left. At dinner I sat at the end of the table as usual. Sophia poured wine. Doesn't the office feel refreshed? That energy shift was needed. Marcus nodded. Mouth full. The garage kind of suits Elena, anyway. Gives her that focused lone wolf vibe. I didn't answer. Explaining how I'd wired the room. Laid insulation. Fixed every glitch over the years wouldn't land. Luther, my stepdad, gave me a weak smile then looked away. Neutral as always. After dishes, I retreated to the garage. Lit one candle. Sat in the dark holding Dad's old screwdriver like a relic. Shadows danced on the walls like unfinished conversations. In that hour, I existed only for myself. That night, I started a quiet ritual. One candle. 1 hour. One memory. And a whispered promise into the dark. You don't belong here forever. Nothing stays like this. The garage silence didn't scream. It simmered. And so did I. I woke on the cot in the garage. Thin blanket wrapped tight against the morning chill. Neck stiff. Air sour with mildew. The rhythm settled in. Wake. Work. Exist. No one knocked anymore. Marcus passed the window once without glancing in. Sophia stopped offering coffee. Luther stayed neutral. The Wi-Fi dropped around 9. Marcus's streams upstairs overloaded the boosters I'd installed last year. I fixed it without being asked, muttering to the empty air. Then I noticed a dusty crate behind the shelves. Inside, an envelope in Dad's handwriting. For when you forget who you are. The letter was short, written years ago when I moved back after grad school. You see what others miss. You fix what others break. That's heart, not just skill. You won't always be seen, but don't let them make you blurry to yourself. Tears came slow and steady. Someone had once seen me clearly. Upstairs, laughter filtered through the floorboards. They were rearranging again. Hanging backdrops for Marcus's pitch party. I heard my name, Marcus saying, "She's the quiet genius." Heavy on the quiet. I opened a document titled, "To the Ones Who Forgot Me," but closed it. Instead, I drafted a simple statement. I resigned from tech support. Unpaid therapist. Household project manager. Effective immediately. I didn't print it yet. I framed Dad's letter and hung it above my desk. They could erase me upstairs. Down here, his words still lived. I didn't know about the party until I overheard Mom on the phone. Soft launch for Marcus's blockchain thing. The future. You know. She knocked on the garage door later. Few people over Saturday. Could you set up chairs from the shed? I nodded. Saturday afternoon, I dragged folding chairs while Marcus tested lights. Guests arrived. Mom's church friends. His online investors calling each other visionaries. I stood in the corner taking photos as requested. You've got that steady hand, Marcus said. Like I was equipment. When dinner was served, I looked for a seat. None left. My usual spot taken by his laptop. I leaned against the garage door. Plate on my knees. Cold pasta salad. Across the yard, Sophia raised her glass. To Marcus. The future of our family. The words landed heavy. No mention of the wiring I'd done. The bills I'd covered. The years I kept everything running. Later, a group photo. I stood at the edge. They posted a cropped version online. Marcus center stage. Me gone. Caption. Proud of our tech pioneer. Journey begins. No credit. No tag. Back in the garage, I open my notebook. They see what they want to remember. Then I started another document. Control variables. Tahoe trip excluded. Scholarship downplayed at Thanksgiving. Marcus's failed startup celebrated while my contracts barely noted. I logged dates. Descriptions. Patterns could be mapped.
Proved.
The lights dimmed again from his rig, pulling the shared breaker. I flipped it, noted the time, added to the log. I wasn't their emergency fixer anymore. I was becoming the variable they hadn't accounted for. Midweek, I went upstairs for a screwdriver. Marcus wasn't there, but the door was open. My old monitor and soundbar, bought with my money, sat on his desk like they'd always belonged. I called him over. "Did you ask before moving my equipment?"
He blinked.
"They said it was just sitting there. You've got your setup downstairs." That night, I disabled remote access. Changed passwords. Scrubbed devices. Left a sticky note in his backup drive drawer. "Not yours." At dinner, he bragged about venture capital. "Good thing I took her desk. She works better in basements." Mom chuckled awkwardly. I met his eyes. "Careful. I document everything." The room stilled. Forks paused. His smile faltered. Afterward, I installed a second lock on the garage door. Ordered a new ergonomic chair. Reconfigured the space. Tossed the wobbly table. Cleared clutter. Swept until concrete veins showed. It still smelled like garage, but now it smelled like mine. Sunday evening, Sophia knocked politely. "We're family."
Elena.
"You don't need to act like a stranger." I didn't turn. "Then maybe don't treat me like one." The door clicked shut. I stared at the blinking cursor. That was the moment I knew I didn't need their permission to protect what was mine. The last favor they asked came wrapped in expectation 2 weeks later. The garage finally felt like my perimeter. Upgraded lock. Reset passwords. Filtered calendar. But the house still leaked in. During a client call, the lights flickered and died. Marcus's gaming stream had spiked the circuit again. Before I could reset, Sophia appeared at the door in her apron. "Jerome's setup tripped the power. Investors call in 10 minutes. Can you look?" Tone dressed as request but curled with expectation. I said no.
Calmly.
Walked back. Restarted after resetting. Then I audited old logs. Found Marcus had accessed my design folders. Downloaded templates. Modified files.
Screenshots.
IP traces. Timestamps. He hadn't been subtle. I backed everything to encrypted USB. Created a bait file in shared folder. Seed wallet access docs with tracker. Inside. "You've been sloppy. Keep going. I'm documenting." He opened it within 48 hours. Never said a word. But hallway passes became more measured. Next week, internet dropped again. Sophia knocked. Router acting up. Quick reset. I didn't turn. YouTube tutorial. Typed the model number. She lingered, then left. First time without guilt afterward. I sorted files for migration. Contracts. Archives. Invoices. Bookmarked nearby office rentals. Mapped my exit. Quiet and surgical. Not running, building a launch pad. One night under string lights I whispered, "You don't owe them anything." And believed it. Friday night, Sophia called a check-in. They sat in holiday positions. Not celebration, containment. Marcus tight smiled. Sophia's wine glass trembled. Luther wished he was elsewhere.
Sophia sighed.
Tension in the house lately. With Marcus's launch struggling. Your distance hasn't helped us focus. I echoed calmly. So, his startup issues are because I didn't smile enough at dinner? She hesitated. Maybe he felt unsupported. I kept voice even. I gave him my office. My name on the door.
Quiet.
Now you want apology for not cheering while he crashes my systems.
Luther tried.
Maybe communicate differently. Less directly? Softer? Less uncomfortable. No answer. I retreated to the garage. Typed every word verbatim. Reread Dad's letter. Felt like evidence now. Later I overheard Sophia in kitchen. I shouldn't have let her upset you. You need focus. Marcus, she's bitter. Always hard when someone else gets attention. I recorded it. Tonight they buried the version of me who needed approval. Next morning I toured a co-working space. Bright windows. Stable outlets. Took a month to month. Felt reclamation settle in my bones. Not escape. Walking away, without looking back. Sunday family meeting text. They were seated when I entered with my USB.
Sophia began.
Tough moment. Align as family with Marcus's PR challenges. I plugged in. His funding disappeared because he couldn't deliver. Not alignment issues. Open folders. Access logs. Unauthorized use. Impersonation. Screenshots of him accessing accounts. Download records. Email posing as me pitching crypto to my client. Sophia covered her mouth. Luther leaned forward. Marcus started to speak. I cut in. You lied. Stole access. Risked my reputation. Second folder. Printed spreadsheet of expenses, groceries, utilities, repairs, dental. 2+ years of my name on their debts. I've kept this house running digitally, financially, emotionally. I'm done. I stood. You took my space. Borrowed my tools. Dismissed my voice. Tonight you lose the one person who still did the dishes. Walked out. In garage, I packed methodically. Labeled drives. Wrapped cords. Didn't slam the door. They'd feel it anyway, every downed Wi-Fi. Jammed printer. Forgotten login. This was the day I stopped cleaning their messes. The house went unnaturally quiet for 2 days. No greetings. No passive comments from Sophia. Like the structure itself hibernated. Brittle. Marcus's car vanished Monday morning. No note. Sophia moved like a ghost. Avoiding eyes. Luther pulled weeds in the backyard, pretending they mattered more than the collapse inside. I should have felt triumph. Instead, a heavy stillness settled, like I'd carved space but realized how much noise had filled it. Tuesday, an opened envelope in mail. Collections notice from crypto lender. Jerome had defaulted. Collateralized Sophia and Luther's retirement account. I slid it onto Sophia's nightstand. She startled. What is it? Your son mortgaged your future. She read. Whispered. I didn't know. You didn't want to. Jerome's voicemail later. Scratchy excuses. Temporary risk. Fix it. I deleted. Logged it. Luther knocked midweek with tea. Barely sweet. Hint of lemon. Should have spoken sooner. We leaned too much. You still are. Acknowledgement isn't repair. He nodded. Left. By Friday, 5 labeled boxes stacked. Texted storage company for options. Not moving yet, planning on my terms. Internet died Monday. House went silent above. They fumbled router themselves. Power flickered, then weakened signal. I heard Sophia knock once. Retreat. Watched Luther squint at phone tutorial. Screwdriver shaking. Sophia burned roast. Smoke alarm beeping. They didn't call my name. I documented every failed fix. That night in journal. They wanted self-reliance. Now they have it. Next day at co-working I ordered oat milk latte. Mapped online security course curriculum in 2 hours. Jenna texted. Still at war or ready to lead? I let it sit. This time I'd choose myself on my clock. Luther knocked evening. Thanks for records, saving mess with retirement.
Good.
But I'm not your lawyer or IT. Door clicked shut. Porch light out. For years I'd have fixed it. This time I kept walking. Not everything broken was mine anymore. 2 weeks later garage breathed for itself. No interruptions. Luther asked to lunch at Dad's old diner booth. Over eggs he met my eyes. Should have spoken years ago. Asked too much, stay quiet, keep peace. Fix so we wouldn't notice broken. I stirred coffee. Didn't fill silence. No demand for forgiveness offered. Tension lowered like a taut rope eased. Sophia's seat empty at dinner. She said he was regrouping. I thought, needed walls that held accountability. She appeared in garage doorway next morning. Looked smaller. Can't undo it. But I see it now. Everything. Do you regret it? Regret not seeing sooner. That's something. Tone even. Not punishing, just no easy out. Afternoon I cleared garage. Sold and used tools. Donated cords. Left only essentials, desk. Framed letter. Coffee maker. Clean lines. Whispered. I didn't need them to fix what they broke. Just stop pretending nothing cracked. Sunday Luther grilled outside. No speeches. Just, if you're hungry, there's room. I brought my own dish. Sophia handed plate silently. Only words. Luther on potatoes. Turned out good. I nodded. Not warmth. Not frost. Enough. Final invoice was a money. Typed surgical spreadsheet. Itemized groceries. Utilities. Software. Diverted freelance hours. Repairs over decade. Bottom line, this is what it costs to keep your version of family alive. Left folded on kitchen table. No signature. Sophia found it half-hour later.
Pale. Trembling.
Didn't know you kept tally. You don't get to cry about what you refuse to see. Turn back to screen. Finalized one-bedroom apartment lease. Big windows. Quiet building. No shared circuits. Garage clean. Boxes labeled.
Drives backed.
Placed house key on workbench beside small note. Everything you needed. I gave. Everything I needed. I'm building without you. Locked door. Walked to car. Didn't look back. Next day, unpacking monitor. Email from coworker. Jerome fraud case escalated, but my documentation closed loop. No testimony needed. Forwarded to archive. Handled. Shut laptop. Made tea. Hung dad's letter on new wall. Lit single candle beneath. Sat on floor whispering. Not for anyone else. Just for myself. I wasn't the golden one. I was the anchor. Now I'm the ship. Locked new office door earned. Not inherited. And stepped into life built the day they assumed I wouldn't leave. In the end, I didn't just walk from a house. I walked from the version of me who kept shrinking to fit their comfort. Silence isn't always strength. Being needed isn't being respected. Giving more doesn't prove worth when taken without acknowledgement. People rarely change unless forced to confront absence of what you gave freely. You are allowed boundaries. Allowed to say no. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Strength. Have you ever stayed too long not to disappoint those who disappointed you first? The question lingers like garage shadows at dusk. What happens when the quiet one finally speaks by leaving? The answer echoes in empty rooms they now must fill themselves. Word count, 1,000.